Hey, this is Tammy Goen with Lifescape-Wellness. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are at episode 316 with my good friend and coach, Tammy Goen. I really wish I would have met Tammy back in the day when I was overly sensitive. I'm still a very highly sensitive person, but I was overly sensitive. And I really felt like I had nowhere to turn. And I really wish that I would have met Tammy because she would have really shortened my learning curve and how to get over it. Luckily in my life, people have came across my path that has helped me level up and get over being so sensitive. But Tammy has the tools for the people that are out there operating on a spectrum of just a lot of things might rub them the wrong way or whatnot. And she makes so many fantastic analogies on how people that are highly sensitive are so gifted and they should honor it. So if you have a digital note-taking device or a notepad or whatnot, just take notes, because whether you're highly sensitive, if you are highly sensitive, it'll help you. If you're not, but know somebody is, then it'll help you understand them. So without further ado, here's my really good friend, Tammy Goen from Lifescape-Wellness. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I have my awesome sauce friend from the left coast up there in Oregon, and we had a little fun conversation. Like, I'm from the Midwest, and we were told we had to pronounce it Oregon, but it's actually Oregon, so I like to say it the right way. And my good friend Tammy Goen from Oregon, she has the company Lifescape-Wellness, and Tammy helps other highly sensitive people create a toolbox for decreasing overwhelm. So I cannot wait to dig into this, because you can ask my fiance, you can ask other people. I'm a very highly sensitive person. And so she does that toolbox for decreasing overwhelm and to increase self-awareness, self-compassion, and self-love. She uses various coaching techniques such as EFT and tapping, which I do love tapping. We actually did a podcast on tapping, and other energy modalities, and focus on shifting limiting beliefs to help honor their sensitive selves so their sensitivity can be their superpower. And Tammy, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Oh, green, because I'm a major nature lover, and I love leaves as a symbol, and I just like the vibrancy of it and the aliveness, and it really, connects me with nature. So definitely.
I love that. Do you walk barefoot? I know it's a random question.
I do when I have very tender feet, and okay, I get cold easily. So when I do have the opportunity, I love it. I hike like crazy, and I try to, when I sit down and have my snack or whatever, I take my shoes off and do that grounding thing, because physiologically it's really helpful for us. Energetically, it's helpful for us. So I try to do that. It's
just so random, because a lot of your pictures and stuff, on your website, which you got to go there, Squad will be in the show notes. It's like you're in nature, and I see the green, and like, I'm a huge believer in walking barefoot anywhere I possibly can, just because I know that lightning is striking the earth 10,000 times almost a second somewhere on the earth, and there's that energy that I want to feel it come in my body. Hopefully it's not close to me, but I'm looking at the Atlantic right now.
Those negative ions are super important for us.
Right.
For our polarities off these days, because we never do that anymore.
Yeah. Barefoot, yes. So let's get to the origins. Let's get to the roots of Tammy, and kind of like tell us where you maybe started and how you're getting up to help people like myself that are sensitive people, kind of not overcome it, but live with it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, anybody who's highly sensitive has always been highly sensitive, and they know that. They just may not necessarily realize that there's 20% of the population that is also that way. So I, went through my childhood and my early adulthood, and I got a master's in counseling, and I was working with really intense populations with, all kinds of different abuse. And I've always felt I was really helpful, but then I reached burnout, walking into a wall. I woke up one day and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to work. And so it really had an effect on me, because I wasn't quite conscious of the way everything was going. So I had to make a big shift. And then eventually I came back to the helping realm in terms of emotion and that kind of thing, and started coaching. But in the meantime, I discovered the sensitivity trait, high sensitivity, and it just it reframed my whole life to that point. It was very validating and helped me really understand myself and why I'd had a hard time with my, it worked well with my career, but then I, hit that burnout, and I was able to understand that. And then as I got to understand myself more and high sensitivity more, and I had headed in that direction of coaching, I started realizing that the majority of people who were finding me who were also highly sensitive, and that was a niche that was really not being met, because a lot of people would say, oh yeah, I've had counseling, I've had coaching, but I could only get so far because I just didn't really feel like I was understood, or that I just couldn't quite get there. So that's then become my niche, because I do get it, and it helps me to or helps them, for me to understand where they're coming from. So the journey has become, being aware of myself as a highly sensitive person, what that means, developing all my tools and learning, how to maximize that to make it my superpower, and then helping other people do that as, they were starting to find me as well. So
love it. So Tammy, what was your trigger to really find out, wait a minute, like highly sensitive, like this is something I'm going through, yes. What was it? What was that moment, or,
I had
aha moment?
A scenario happened with a couple friends where I felt like I was totally not heard or understood, very disrespected. It was just the way this whole thing went down. And while I was trying to process that and not getting support through that, another friend who was supporting me said, hey, you should check this out online. It was 16 traits of highly sensitive people or something. I don't think I could even find that one anymore, but I found it and I looked at it. And so here is, in print, basically all these questions that you would, answer for yourself about high sensitivity. And I'm like, yes, 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 yeah. Like 14 out of 16 or something. And then it was just this aha moment of, oh my gosh, this is me. And it's not just me, or it wouldn't be on the internet. Right. Right. So it was super validating. And I just realized there's a reason for the way that I interface with the world, the way I, respond to people, the way things feel for me, all of those kinds of things. And so then I was able to go, whoa, high sensitivity, what is this? And really start researching it and understanding myself in a way of, this is the way I'm wired. This is me. And I don't need to fix that. It's not wrong or weird or whatever. It's like being left-handed or right-handed. I mean, I'm highly sensitive. Okay, well, that feels totally different than feeling like an outsider and having to like fix everything that I do fit with the mainstream. It's like this realization that, I'm totally fine as I am. And not only that, if I can honor that and really be aware and develop the tools and all that kind of stuff, it can be my superpower. I mean, it helps me be amazing in so many different ways. I just didn't realize the connection there.
That's so good. And you said like 20%. Do you really think it's that low?
Oh, it's 20. When the first, like in the 90s, when the research was being done, it was like they were saying probably 15 to 20%. And the stuff that's coming out now is suggesting that maybe that's higher. And the more I'm
thinking it's in the 60s, to be honest with you, especially, in this day and age, the sensitivity is on steroids, for lack of a better term. And people need someone like you. So let me ask you something. What then is, what would you consider a great coach in your field, or a great coach overall?
I think listening is a big piece. I mean, whether it's coaching or counseling, of course, that listening and being in that place where the client is understood, instead of, putting parameters on, do this, and this, just, kind of a turnkey system or something, but just really being there with that person and what their experience is, and then providing a lot of different viewpoints and different ways of, seeing things, but then also looking at, in terms of coaching versus counseling or other modalities, maybe, really looking at not only what isn't working, but what is working, how to make more of that happen. And then really looking at releasing judgment and, usually people come in thinking I'm wrong, or I need to fix this, or something's not working and I don't know what it is, but helping people to realize, what they've already got that they're working with, that they're not accessing, or that they're downplaying, because, like one of the things with highly sensitives is all of the positive characteristics that we have, we just assume that everyone else has, and it's no big deal.
Ooh.
And so they don't really like honor those so much and celebrate them. So part of that, for me, is helping people to realize, like, well, these things that you experience, as a highly sensitive person, not everybody sees that way or does those things or
So
understands.
you're actually saying, like, embrace your sensitivity in a sense and use it as a strength. Right? Oh, wow.
Exactly.
I've
and
never
if you have the tools to manage the overwhelm, then that becomes easier. If you're constantly just in fight or flight and feeling exhausted, that that doesn't work very well. But once you have those tools and can get to that place, then you can say, oh yeah, this is me. I can celebrate that.
That's
I don't have to say, yeah, I'm highly sensitive, but it's awesome. Like, yeah, I am highly sensitive, and this is what it does for me, and this is what the light that I bring to the world because of my sensitivities.
Wow, that's awesome. So when you're starting to work with a client, maybe you're still in the discovery phase, making sure you're the right horse for the course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're the right coach. Is there any secret sauce that you don't mind sharing just at the beginning that you help them find their blind spot?
I always like to start by asking people if one of us had some kind of a realistic magic wand, what would life be like 6 months from now?
Wow.
And then we, depending on what comes up, and sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know. And then they'll say something. So you ask again and, kind of get down a little deeper. Sure. And then stuff starts coming out. And obviously for me, I'm like, okay, well, these are goals. These are going to be goals. And then we'll revisit those. But it helps people to get thinking not only, oh, what really is kind of blocking me or what are those issues, but then also seeing, oh, okay, yeah, there is a way out of this. I'm not locked in this negative space, like feeling miserable or suffering. Oh, if there's a magic wand that's realistic, it's not like Disney World or something,
but Harry Potter, right? I get.
But if that, if I can look 6 months ahead and go, oh, what would that look like? Then immediately they already start that shift, that process of, oh yeah, I can do this. I can get somewhere beyond where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. So while you're maybe in the discovery period, and is there any good question that you wish that they would ask you but never do?
Oh, that never do. I always ask them if they have questions.
Right.
And usually it's about how I got to where I am and that kind of thing. But what they never ask me is what are the good things about your high sensitivity? That is true. That doesn't ever come up. No one has ever asked me that.
Wow. You're that squad. I love it. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be, because then that would give me the opportunity to say, oh yeah, it can be so amazing. I mean, I explain that to people, but yeah, no one's ever said, oh, what do you like about being highly sensitive? Because people are usually surprised when I start talking. And, I did some kind of an interview for a research project yesterday, and that was one of the questions.
Wow.
But what's positive about that and why? And
so let's unpack that. What is positive about being a highly sensitive person?
Oh, so many things. So for me, I think of it as being like, if average life is, maybe actually I'm using this in a different way than I normally do, but like a crayon box of 12 colors.
Mm-hmm.
For me, being highly sensitive is the big jumbo box of 120 or whatever it is. It's kind of like going from grays, light colors to Technicolor. There's so much to experience in life. And as highly sensitives, we pay attention to the details. We notice all these little things that other people probably miss most of the time.
Sure.
And everything has a big impact. It's all super important and intense. And so our experiences, that can be challenging, but it gives us, just these great experiences. You go and you see a sunset and, you can move to tears, and somebody else is like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh, that's so sad that you don't have that experience of how rich that can be. Wow. So that's one of the biggest things for me, I think.
And that is a strength that you are embracing. I love it. But how about your weaknesses with being highly sensitive?
Yes, being very often reactive, if not just sensing.
Very good. I'm raising my hand, squad.
Yeah,
Yep.
things that we don't like, for us, it's really hard to put ourselves in someone else's shoes when they're doing something that we would never do. So we can get offended easily. We can get disappointed in people easily. We can look at a behavior and go, why? How would someone ever do such a thing? And then we make a judgment because we would never do that. So I think that stuff is hard to let go of.
Oh my gosh, that is so true, Tammy. You're nailing it like perfectly. And because was me really bad. I'm a recovering, I'll never be recovered, but a recovering narcissist, like from my younger days, and my story that's been out in, talk shows and stuff like that. They understand why I had the story, but like why I was a narcissist. But that just really nailed it on the head. Thank you for saying that. So have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
A long time ago.
Yeah, it's going on 40 years, right? So yeah, let's get that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Tammy. Okay, I don't know if it's going there. Let's go back to 22-year-old Tammy. Mm-hmm. What kind of knowledge nuggets, we call them here at Time Shine today, what kind of knowledge nuggets would you drop on her? Not so much to change anything, because you want the experiences, but to maybe blast through, level up, or shorten the learning curve just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And for me, since we're talking high sensitivity, it would have been being aware that I was not the only so sensitive person. And that there were reasons for my experience in life, and that I didn't have to change that, but just being aware that, okay, I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm wired this way. There are other people out there like me. I just need to be aware and honor and bring them into my circle. And then everything else could be exactly the same, but with that awareness.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's so important for parents with kids who are highly sensitive to become aware of that and support them and help them through everything. So they don't have to go through all of those years.
That's beautiful.
And then finally look back and go, oh.
That's beautiful, because I'm always, talking with my coaching clients to like live intentionally. And the only way you can live intentionally is to be aware. I'm always saying, do it for the intention, not the attention, Mm-hmm. So a lot of people that are hypersensitive like me, I would go out and do a lot of stuff for attention, right? Instead of being intentional. When you're doing it for the attention, you're not being aware. You just nailed that. Thank you so much for saying that. So then how do you want, Tammy, your dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date on your tombstone. Hopefully it's a long ways down the road, but how do you want that dash remembered?
I just had a session yesterday of something called Psyche, and we removed some blockages, below. And so my mind is kind of thinking that direction of this focus of, I think it would say, carried life with light and flow.
Wow. You can't really get much better than that, right? I mean, it's like we're here for a short time.
It sums up a lot of different things. I mean, it means a lot of different things for a lot of different people, I'm sure, and depending on where I'm at in the moment.
Wow.
Different things, but yeah.
That's amazing. And you're taking on such a high wired person, being overly sensitive. Like I know my coach, is, like I have 4 coaches, and the one that I go to for my narcissism and sensitivity is like they can read my energy, whether it's through a phone call or through Zoom or even through text coaching with them. Do you find that the energy changes a lot with a highly sensitive, or is it kind of like a flow of the same?
Yeah, flow is the word for me. If people are wrapped up in what's not working, and we can be really intense, focused on something, right? And you're really serious or just really there. That energy tends to be kind of the same throughout.
Sure.
When you have like an aha moment, or you are in flow, where you're able to forget, which is part of the, learning the tools. If you're able to let go of everything in the outside world and really be in tune, whether that's meditating or dancing or hiking or, doing something where you can just let go of everything and be in the flow, I think the energy shifts quite a lot.
Oh, that's awesome. In a great way though, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then people are more like, oh, I mean, even if it's not conscious, it's like, oh, this feels better. So reaching that in a session is always amazing for me.
It's awesome. It's such a victory.
See people go,
yeah.
Oh,
we just said it at the same time.
I'm accepting that in. That's right. Good. Yeah.
So then what do you think people misunderstand the most about you?
About me as a highly sensitive, or about me just in general?
Just in general.
I think because of the sensitivity and the intensity of everything, I'm a thinker. I'm always thinking and focused on things. And so I come across usually as very serious.
Right. Maybe aloof a little bit too, because your mind is
she doesn't really have anything to say. And the reality is I have so much to say. I can't figure out what to start with. And I have to process all this for a while. It's one of the things with highly sensitives, we tend to process for a bit. Talk to someone 3 days later and go, hey, when you asked me that question, like, this is my answer. And they're like, that was like 3 days ago. I don't even remember what we were talking about. I'm like, well, I had to process it a little bit.
Processing. So what, if anything, keeps you up at night?
Thankfully, I sleep pretty well.
Okay.
And I have tools that I do to like get rid of stuff before I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was really thinking, it's often like state of the world stuff, which is big for highly sensitives.
Sure. Absolutely.
How to process that and not take it in and hold on to it. And then actually it would be just there's anything going on with my dog.
Oh, love it.
I do kind of hold on to that. And I have
what kind of fur baby do you have?
She's a little pit mix.
Me too. Yeah. I have a pit mix I adopted actually 5 years ago Saturday, because it's July 2nd of Stitches.
Nice.
Stitches Day. Yeah. Well, I'll send him a picture send you a picture when we're done here. That's awesome. So then what is Tammy's definition of a life well lived?
Oh, I love that question. Being true to yourself and doing what resonates without worrying about what other people think.
Oh my gosh. It's funny. I make 2 New Year's resolutions every year, and I've did it since 2009. One is to make someone smile every day, right? So I just won right there. I got you a little grin there. But 2, unless I've hurt you or disrespected you, I give 0. What you think about me, and it's something that I've got to. It's actually almost a daily resolution, because of being a hypersensitive, I would worry. And back in like then, I was worried about how many likes do I get, on stuff that I put out there. Now, as long as I'm helping people and serving people, I don't care what people think. But it was kind of like a process, and it's something I still go through. I love that. I love it. So, Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back with Tammy Goen, and Tammy, you and I hopefully will meet up one day. I am speaking in Oregon or Washington. Donnie, tell me, later this year. So maybe we can find a coffee hookup somewhere, right? But you and I could talk probably 15, 20 minutes on each one of these questions, because we're both highly sensitive people. But you have 5 seconds to answer each one of them. No explanations. Each one of them can be answered quickly. Are you ready to level up?
All right, here we go.
Let's do it, Tammy. What is the best leveling up advice Tammy's ever received?
Listen to your heart.
Yes. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Daily meditation, no matter what.
Beautiful. Love it. So if you see me walking down the street or even in the woods, you're like, man, Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums. What book might you hand me?
The Power of Now.
Yes. Thank you for answering like that. What's your most commonly used emoji when you text?
Smiley face.
All right. Me too.
Yeah, basic one.
Nicknames growing up?
Tam.
Love it. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Chess, checkers, or Monopoly? Monopoly.
Love it. What's your go-to ice cream flavor?
Chocolate mint.
Oh, me too. You and I are like, you're my sister from a different mister. I'm going to tell you right now. There's a sandwich named the Tam. What's on that sandwich?
Roasted red peppers and mushrooms and spinach and sun-dried tomatoes.
Just forgetting bacon. I'm kidding. But so if you could get in a time machine just for one day, you can go 20 years in the future or experience anything from the past. just when can't change anything, we come back to right now, tomorrow, which one would you do, future or the past?
To be honest, I wouldn't want to go. I'd want to stay here.
Yay! Great answer. You can answer it that way. Favorite charity and or organization you like to give your time or money to?
Lately, Street Dog Heroes, which is local here.
Really? Is that just in kind of the Oregon area?
I think so.
Nice.
It might,
Okay.
yeah, it might be into Portland as well, I think, but.
Awesome. I'll have Donnie reach out to you, but get us the link for that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
We'll throw in the show notes. Thank you so much. But last question, you can elaborate on this one, Tammy, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
60s or 70s.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so some of that kind of melds together for me, and because I was younger then, but yeah, I don't typically like it very much of the contemporary stuff because to me it's not very deep. Right. Or meaningful, or I just appreciate the lyrics of the older music. And
you like get into Bob Dylan and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackson Brown.
Best poet ever to me is Bob Dylan. I love Jackson Brown. Steely Dan. I love the words, Gordon Lightfoot, Jim Croce, like that's my jam too. Like when I'm actually working, I listen to 70s. You know, when I'm out wanting to reminisce, I listen to 80s. I graduated in 1990. I just turned 50. So it's like I listen to the 80s the most, but like the you want to hear stories being told. Yes. You're right. The 60s and 70s. I love it. I love it. So Tammy, how can we find you, love?
I am at CoachTammyGoen.com.
Okay.
And then also I'm on Linktree, if folks are familiar with that, LINKATR.ee, and then / my name, TAMMYGEN. Okay. So I've got a bunch of links on there. There's a freebie and all of my social media links and beautiful links to the website and all of that as well.
Tell us about this online course you're going to be rolling out.
Yeah, it's going to be very comprehensive course for about 9 weeks for all about, not about high sensitivity, although there'll be some bonus videos on there in case people aren't quite up to speed on everything about it. But really looking at all of the things that, you mentioned in my intro of looking at creating the healthy lifestyle and self-care plan and calming the nervous system, building those tools, the tapping, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But then also looking at how to honor yourself, how to create boundaries, how to talk with other people about your sensitivities, all of that stuff wrapped together in just an online course in case, financially or time-wise or whatever, the individual portion just doesn't work. So yeah, that's coming in the near future.
Yay! Make sure you keep us up to date on that, because I'd love to get it out to. I have about 150,000 subscribers, my email list. So I'd love to get it out to them. So also, is there a little book that's out now, or is it coming out? The little book.
A little book of high sensitivity. Yeah. It is actually complete because I just transferred my website, created a new website, but transferred to a new platform. This is all like in the next couple of weeks. I hope all of this will be fine-tuned. So it's not accessible at the moment, but yes, it is done and available. I just have to get it out there for people to access. So that'll be the little book of high sensitivity, which basically just gives you, a pretty good overview of what it means, what you can look forward to, the tools that are helpful, that kind of thing, that just on a, smaller scale.
Wow, that's just awesome. And Tammy, can you do me one last solid and leave the squad with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on?
Yeah, I would just say, as highly sensitive people out there, to remember that this is the way you're wired for a reason. You're here to be here on the planet at this moment with your sensitivities, to shine those forward and help humanity. So acknowledge that they are important, that there's a reason that you're sensitive, and just honor that and allow that to shine and become your superpower, because we
love it. I love it. And squad, we just got a really super fun, actually a masterclass, free one that I kind of needed. A lot of times people won't realize that they're highly sensitive, and Tammy kind of discovered high sensitivity and started to reframe her life and really just started validating and started to understand herself. If you feel like you're totally not being heard, understood, or being disrespected, please let us make a warm introduction to Tammy for you, because she'll remind us that a great coach listens. And not only does she listen with her ears, a great coach like Tammy listens with all her senses, and she wants the client to be in a place where they feel understood, and she's not cookie cutter at all. And she'll remind you to make more of it, what's working, put that on display and get that out there. Honor and celebrate your sensitivity and use that strengths. And there's tools within those strengths to help you overcome a lot of overwhelm. And if you're still stuck, please let us introduce you to Tammy. And if you had a real magic wand, ask yourself what it would look like 6 years from now to be the person that you really want to be. And that will get you thinking about what's really blocking you, but also know that there is a way out, and that I love her analogy with the crayon box and highly sensitive people, because it's like, you're right. A crayon box might have 12 colors, but people like Tammy and I, we look for the 64, the 124 colors because we're just so spread out over a spectrum. It's just amazing. And just be aware that you are not the only person in your position. Accept that you're wired the way you are and use those gifts. And Tammy will be remembered as somebody that will help you get there, and that she carried a life with light and flow. And Tammy is someone that's planting trees she's probably never going to sit in the shade of. It's just fantastic, and when you're in that flow, you let go and just get in tune. And I do it with being at the beach. Tammy does it with being in nature, but find your spot, do some meditation. And again, that listen to your heart. That's the one thing that Tammy said that really defines a lot of her success, is listening to the heart. And I've already said it before, but remember, you were wired a certain way for a reason. Use those powers and shine and honor those powers. And that's what my good friend Tammy does. She levels up her health. She levels up her wealth. Tammy, you've earned your varsity squad letter here at Time to Shine today.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you so much for coming on. I so much love your guts, and I can't wait to collaborate with you in the future.
Oh, I can't either. And I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's just so great to connect. Thank you so much.
You bet. We'll chat soon.
Okay.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter and Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you're a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.